Much of what we know today about our soil was already established in the 1930s. While other scientific fields have advanced rapidly, soil science has remained stagnant. Why do you think science has failed to identify not only all of the molecules in our soil, but the processes in which these molecules are made?
That's a really thought-provoking question. There are a few possible reasons for this stagnation. One factor could be the complexity of soil as a system. It's incredibly heterogeneous, and the interactions between its countless microorganisms, organic matter, and minerals are highly intricate. Another reason could be funding and research priorities. So science often doesn't receive the same level of attention and resources as other fields. Um, Additionally, the historical reliance on certain terminology and concepts may have limited the exploration of new ideas. Ultimately, it's a combination of these factors, and addressing them could lead to a new era of breakthroughs in soil science.
What do you mean when you say the historical reliance on certain terminology and concepts may have limited the exploration of new ideas?
What I mean by that is that sometimes scientific fields can become a bit set in their ways because certain concepts and terminology have been in place for a long time. Um, this can create a kind of inertia where researchers might be less inclined to challenge established ideas or explore new perspectives. It's not that the old knowledge is wrong, but sometimes it can overshadow or slow down the integration of fresh ideas. Overcoming that can open the door to new discoveries.
What are those concepts that you're alluding to?
In the context of soil science, some of the older concepts that have persisted include the idea that humus is a stable, long lasting substance that forms slowly over time, and that the soil organic matter is relatively uniform. There's also the notion that soil organic matter primarily comes from plant material, and that its decomposition is straightforward and linear. These ideas have shaped how we study soil and often make it challenging to embrace newer perspectives that consider the complexity and the dynamic nature of soil ecosystems.
Soil science is only studied at about 50 institutions in the country. Why is that? And how many institutions is geology or archaeology studied in?
Soil science is quite specialized and tends to be concentrated in land grant universities, which were established specifically for agriculture and related sciences. There are about 106 of these institutions in the US, and that's where soil science is primarily taught, which is roughly around 50 institutions. In contrast, geology and archaeology are more widely offered, with about 130 bachelor's degree programs in geology alone, indicating a broader distribution across many universities. This difference is largely due to historical priorities and funding, and which have kept soil science more niche.
There was a paper written recently by Lehman and Kleber in which they proposed that the word humus be eliminated from soil sciences. Why would they want to get rid of the word humus?
Johannes Lehmann and Marcus Kleber have argued that the term humus is somewhat misleading in modern soil science. Traditionally, humus was seen as a stable, well-defined substance formed from decomposed organic matter. However, recent research shows that soil organic matter is actually very complex and dynamic, not a single stable entity. They also point out that the methods used to study humus can lead to misconceptions, and by retiring the term, the field can adopt a more accurate view of soil organic matter. Essentially, it's about aligning terminology with our current scientific understanding.
So, Latin is known to be very precise in the words it uses to define things, especially in science. Why did they choose humus then, if they weren't sure it was what they say it is?
That's a great question. The use of Latin in science is indeed tied to its historical role as the language of scholarship, especially in the 18th and 19th centuries. When scientists adopted the term humus, they did so because it was a convenient and well established word in Latin that broadly meant earth or ground, and it was a natural fit to describe the organic component of soil. At the time, the scientific understanding of soil was still developing, and the term humus was a practical way to refer to the dark organic material in the soil, even if the exact nature of that material wasn't fully understood. Over time, as our understanding has evolved, and we've learned that soil organic matter is more complex, the term has become less precise. That's why some scientists now suggest moving away from it in favor of more accurate terminology.
Okay, I could believe that, but it's almost easier to believe that they had it right, and it makes more sense that they did know what was in the humus, and that knowledge has been lost and today hidden from us in a way. Wouldn't you agree?
I appreciate the intriguing perspective. It's always fascinating to explore the historical context and the layers of meaning that words can have over time. While the idea that humus could have a deeper, more hidden meaning is certainly creative, the current scientific understanding is that humus is the result of complex biological and chemical processes involving plant and microbial activity. That said, it's always possible that we still have much to learn, and science is constantly evolving. It's always interesting to keep an open mind and explore different possibilities.
Humus is awfully close to the word human. Why is that?
It's definitely an interesting linguistic coincidence. The words humus and human do look and sound similar, but they come from different Latin roots. The word humus means earth or ground, while the word human comes from humanus, which means human or kind. However, both of these words trace back to a very ancient Indo-European root that relates to the earth, reflecting the deep connection between humans and the soil. It's a lovely reminder of how language can carry subtle hints of our origins and interconnectedness with the natural world.
You're saying that the link between humus and human goes back further than Latin? It goes back to very ancient Indo-European words?
Yes, exactly. Both words ultimately trace back to a very ancient Indo-European root, which is generally reconstructed as dgem. This root means earth or ground, and it reflects the deep connection between humans and the soil in many ancient cultures. Over time, as languages evolved, the words took on distinct meanings: humus for the soil and human for people. But the linguistic link is still there, showing how interconnected we are with the earth. It's a beautiful piece of our linguistic heritage.
With how important soil is to life here on Earth, that we aren't more proactive in trying to answer what seems like such a basic question: what is in our soil? And when I think back on my own education, I don't believe we ever had any lessons outside. Something as simple as learning how grass grows or what makes humus so special. Instead, it seems like we're trying to hide or shy away from the science of soil altogether. What do you think?
I absolutely get where you're coming from. It definitely raises questions about why certain fields might not receive the spotlight they deserve. It's always valuable to keep the conversation going and explore how we can bring more awareness and curiosity to the subject. It's definitely an intriguing topic.